Hey students, welcome to day one of our First Peter 2-week challenge, and this is the first devotional video of this new Bible reading series. I'm really excited about it. If you have not yet read First Peter 1 verses 1 through 12, go ahead and stop this video now and go ahead and get to reading those 12 verses. And if you weren't with us last night, when you read these verses, I want you to think of four things. One, what stands out to you? What shines out the most to you? Number two, what questions do you have? And then number three, what applies directly to your life? What do you see in there that you can start using right now? And then four, what in this passage do I think someone else needs to hear? Those are the four things that you should be thinking about when you are reading this, reading the Bible. And I think those are four good things for us to use as a study tool as we look to study the Bible in this time. So, without further ado, if you have read it, I'm not going to read it for you now because we've all read it on our own, and we're going to get right into today's devotional. Each devotional will be pretty short, not a super long, in-depth thing. This is just to get us in the habit of reading the Bible daily and thinking about it. So, this book is written by Peter. Peter is writing this book directly to Christians. He's writing it to a group of Christians, so we, in that regard, can look at it and say it's written to us. So this is a book that's going to help us do two things. It's going to help us understand holiness. And if you remember what the word holy means, it just means to be set apart, but in the Christian context, it's set apart as a life lived for God. So we're going to learn about holiness, and we're going to learn a little bit about suffering, or a lot about suffering. Peter talks a lot about suffering throughout the book of First Peter. So he opens up this chapter, he opens up the letter, he opens up the book with a gospel presentation. It says, "In his great mercy, he has given us new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead." That is just telling us about how Jesus Christ died for us, rose again for us. In verses 6 and 7, I want you to point your attention to verses 6 and 7. Peter opens up the idea of suffering. He says, "These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith of greater worth than gold." He talks about suffering and how suffering produces faith and produces genuine faith. When you persevere through something, when you persevere through suffering, it is a direct reflection of your faith. As you deal with hard things in your life, as you go through things, if you start to realize, I can't do this on my own, but I need God to get me through this, that is faith, and that is being built through times of suffering. Right now we're going through some difficult times, and during difficult times right now we can rely on God because we can't do it on our own, and that's going to help develop our faith. That is a big theme in the book of First Peter, is suffering and developing your faith to help make us more holy. And basically it says the proven genuineness of your faith. When we deal with suffering, our faith will be proven real or fake. It will be proven real or not. The rubber will meet the road when you go through hard times about whether you have real, genuine, authentic, strong faith, or maybe you haven't, and maybe you haven't really trusted in God before. Because during those hard times is when you really realize, am I relying on my own strength or am I relying on God's strength? It's time to realize our need for Christ. This is the time where we need to realize, in this hard time or whatever other hard time you might go through, that's the time you need to realize that God's love and God's protection, His mercy and grace is so much more than anything you can do on your own. He discusses faith. He says, though we have not seen Him, you love Him and you believe in Him and are filled with joy. He's saying that when your faith is developed, not only will you have the love of God and a God that's here to protect you and help you, but you're going to be filled with joy. Even though you have not seen Him, you love Him and you believe in Him and you are filled with joy. Those are pretty strong words from Peter talking about how we connect with God through our faith. Christ is our hope and He is our joy. When suffering becomes too much or we don't know how to handle it, we turn to Christ. He's the one that pulls us through the darkest times. He helps our faith become genuine and real. And that is going to be a big thing that we're going to talk about even more as we go through this book of First Peter. It's going to teach us about holiness and perseverance through suffering. So that is today's devotional for Thursday, April 23rd. That is First Peter 1 through 12. For tomorrow, for Friday, that's our next day of reading. We're going to go to 1 Peter 1, verse 13 through chapter 2, verse 3. We will see you tomorrow for our next devotional.